I want to welcome you to the Retro Rogues Live. Please pay attention to our warning graphic. It states that the Retro Rogues Live show is intended for an adult audience and not intended for children under the age of 13. Parental discretion is advised. Again, I want to welcome you to the show. My name is Dave Beatty. I'm one of your hosts. On tonight's show, we're going to be talking about some fun trading card picks. I'm going to change up the way that I've been handling actually trading card picks, moving forward. We'll get into that here in a few minutes, right before we'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But just real quickly, I want to introduce myself. My name is Dave Beatty. I'm one of your hosts. For nearly the last 30 years, I've been a professional illustrator and graphic designer. Worked on a lot of fun things that some people have heard of, such as Batman Incorporated, Justice League of America, and even Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. But enough about that. I want to welcome back my co-host. This is Mr. Eric Alexander. Eric, please tell the folks who'll be watching or listening at home some of the fun things you have worked on as a creative professional.
Yes, hello everyone. I am Eric Alexander, also known as Bass God 14. That's Bass God 14, not Bass God 14. That's bass god, like a bass guitar. And I am the Chief Financial Officer of Bad Bob Productions, which is a small film production company located in Arizona. Currently, I'm the executive producer on a project called Staycation, which is going to be filming some additional scenes this month out in California.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So we do have a little bit of house business here. Do we want to do the house business first, or we're going to go into our first topic, Eric?
No, I think we should do some house business. I did want to put out there that we are still kind of in the beginning of a format change. We used to just do one sort of longer show on Wednesday, and now we do two shows. We do one obviously on Thursday night, but we also do another show on Sunday. Now, tonight's show is, the Thursday show is always focused on the Collector's Corner, where we focus on collectibles. And then we also throw in a little bit of pop culture news, maybe some streaming wars news. And we do that on Sunday as well, except instead of Collector's Corner, we do our Rogues Retrospective, where we generally look at some older films or television shows, and we review them. Last week, we actually did They Live, the John Carpenter classic They Live that features Roddy Piper. So check that out, by the way, if you are interested in that. We also tied that in with the fact that we had been talking about They Live Funkos on the Collector's Corner show. So we want to get some synergy going. Right, with the collector, I think I had a little glitch where we actually are kind of feeding one show into the other, right? Because stuff that we talk about here, we want to be also talking about there, if we can. And we're at a little bit right now we're kind of a little bit beside ourselves what to do for the next episode. We did throw out there, because we're going to be talking about the Captain Marvel Shazam in our trading card picks, the possibility of maybe looking at the serial, the Captain Marvel serial, which is actually available on Tubi. I didn't know that until we actually were doing our show prep and was like, hey, that's actually available on Tubi. But if you have some suggestions out there about something that you feel that we should review, let us know. One thing we are going to be doing in the very near future, we are going to be talking about some He-Man news, about the He-Man animated series in our news segment, our pop culture news segment. So when He-Man actually comes out, we're not going to be reviewing the cartoon. We're going to be reviewing the live action movie with Dolph Lundgren. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that we want to do on this show, where we do kind of tie it in, to something that's topical, but sort of like in a backhanded way, right? Because we are the Retro Rogues, and we're like that. We're devious like that. So let us know if you have some suggestions out there in the Rogue Gallery for stuff that you think that we should review, because we would really like your suggestions, especially for next week, because we're still not really certain what we're going to do. The only thing we have right now is possibly doing the Captain Marvel serial. So if you think that's a good idea, let us know. If you have another suggestion, let us know. And along those lines, we already do have a suggestion. Hollywood Jackson, so good to see you again. We missed you last time. We actually talked about the Joe Satriani comic book and actions figure that you had suggested on our last show. So if you have a chance, check that out, Hollywood Jackson. If you haven't, you can always go back to YouTube, which, by the way, YouTube, 200 subscribers. Thank you very much. We made 200 today. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. Always remember that if you miss something on the live broadcast, you can always go back and watch the repeat. And I generally will make some clips too. I don't always make clips, but I'll generally make some clips. Actually, our coverage of Wave 4 of the Marvel Retro, the Kenner Marvel Retro line, has done pretty well. We're going to be talking about Wave 3 later in today's show in Collector's Corner. We are going to be talking about Wave 3 because we've never addressed Wave 3. But Hollywood Jackson does have a suggestion, and he says Ray Harryhausen. That is a great suggestion. Do you have a specific Ray Harryhausen film? Because one of the things we have to do is make sure we can have access to it. So I personally don't have any of those films in my collection. So I'm going to have to try to find it like on a streaming thing. So let me know if you have a specific suggestion, because I'll take a look right on Google and see if it's available on some streaming platform. But I think that's a great suggestion, Hollywood. Do a Ray Harryhausen film. That's a great suggestion. And he does say, I keep missing the Sunday show. It happens. Obviously, it's a different time, so we understand that. But again, I just want to encourage people, if you miss a show, you can always go back and watch it on the repeat, unless it's been taken down, which we haven't had that happen, knock on wood, in a little while, but it has happened.
It has. And also, too, you can also, if you're curious, you can also check out the audio show, which is the audio show, which is just basically just an audio version of actually this live show, for example. Those are available on, Apple Podcasts. It's available on Anchor, Spotify, a lot of different places. Just search for Retro
you have that on
Live.
your don't you have that on your website?
I do. Yes, you can check it out.
www.davebaby.com. There we go. So we haven't been promoting the audio show as much as we should be, because we're making big money on the audio show.
He's joking, everyone. We're not making big money on the audio show at all.
But we want to. So go check out the audio show, because we want money.
Right. There's no money on the audio show. Anyhow, all right. So let me go ahead and do my big news here real quick. And I have to be careful how I talk about this, but go ahead and announce it. It's funny, now that there's less people watching, now I get to make my announcement. All right, so anyhow, we've been teasing. I'm going to be working on a big project and so I'm going to finally officially announce it. I got permission to announce it, but only in a certain way. So I've signed a contract to actually work with Studio MDHR. Studio MDHR, for people who may not be familiar, is the studio out of Canada that actually produced the Cuphead video game. Now, I'm not allowed to actually tell you exactly what I'm going to be working on. I can't tell you what capacity I'm working on it, but all I can tell you is that I'm pretty excited. This is a really amazing, unique opportunity for me. And so I'm just really, really super excited to be working with Studio MDHR. And I want to actually publicly thank Chad Moldenhauer and Maj Moldenhauer actually for this opportunity. So I'm just very, very excited to get to work on this project. And when the project comes out, I'll be able to talk in better detail what it was I actually did and how this all kind of came about. Eric is obviously aware of some of this because we've been talking about it, but just very, very super excited, and it's going to be nice to be back at the drawing board working on a crazy fun project. So
yeah, it's awesome, and I'm really happy for you, Dave. I hope all the retro rogues out there and the rogues gallery that they're happy for you too. This is a big deal, folks. If you haven't heard of Cuphead, it is a big deal. It is a very popular thing. It's the original game is available, on platforms like Xbox and PlayStation and things like that. So big deal. Really happy for Dave, and this is really good news. And hopefully it'll even help the show in some ways as we progress, and maybe as Dave can talk more about what he's actually doing, because again, we are the Retro Rogues, and we're kind of mysterious that way. We can't always tell you everything that's going on. So, but David Mott says, congrats. So
thank you.
And Hollywood Jackson also says, awesome, Dave. I'm excited for you. Congratulations on the subs and the new project. So yes, we do have two good news things, in-house news. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Hollywood. And we appreciate your support, Hollywood, because you're one of our biggest supporters, and we do appreciate that.
Okay, so I think at this point, again, we got a suggestion for Ray Harryhausen. That sounds really great. Some kind of a Ray Harryhausen for the retro review, the Rogues retrospective, as it were. That sounds really awesome. And again, if anyone else has any suggestions for something you'd like for us to review on the Sunday show, the Sunday matinee, as it were, please just type it in from wherever you are. In addition to that, we want to encourage you, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, wherever you are, please comment during the show and tell us your thoughts about the things that we're going to be talking about. For example, if you disagree with some of my picks or suggestions for this evening for the Collector's Corner, feel free to call me out. Feel free to say, what you would recommend instead. Now, just real quickly, I am going to change my picks moving forward a little bit because I've been taking a lot of flack, mostly on YouTube in the comment section. No one actually comes on the show and debates me, but I've been kind of taking some flack in the YouTube section. And someone actually made kind of an interesting and a good point. So I am going to adjust what I'm doing a little bit with the card picks. But I'm not going to adjust it that much. All I'm going to do moving forward is that I'm going to tell you what the first appearance for these characters is, whether it's a card, sticker, whatever. And then I'm going to tell you the card I would recommend you have in your collection, and I'm going to tell you why. And let me just tell you right now, while I will be looking at things from an investment standpoint, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm mostly going to be looking at things from an art standpoint moving forward because, since people are kind of taking some real questionable kind of shots at, what I have been recommending to people, what I'm going to do moving forward is actually, I'm just going to recommend to you, like, what I think are just the best cards just to have in your collection for these characters. So that's what I'm going to do moving forward.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And I do want to put that out there that if you disagree with us, come on the show. You know what I mean? And we'll talk it. We'll talk with you about it. You don't need to just be in the comments. I understand not everybody sees the live show, and some of you that have made comments, you may not even know when the live show is. So just with Collector's Corner, it's 7 p.m. Pacific time every Thursday. So if you want to come out here and talk about, trading cards, comics, action figures, any of that stuff, you think that we're full of crap, come out here and tell us. Because we're more than welcome to have we're more than happy to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, and I think that some people don't seem to understand that sometimes I'm recommending the Impel card because I think the Impel cards are sometimes better cards. And I think they're actually better for your collection. So when Eric and I were talking about this via text, I just decided, we'll move forward. I'll just recommend to you what I think the best card is, period. And then we'll just kind of go from there. And I've picked some real beauties this evening. So I think they're going to be fun to talk about. And there's some interesting things that kind of go along with this. I've got my notes here and my soon-to-be my formerly ink-stained fingers, as I like to say.
There you go.
I've got my notes here to go with. So let's go ahead and get into it, Eric.
Yeah, that sounds good. What's the first card that we're going to be talking about?
Let's start off with Namor, the Topps card.
The Namor top. So that's going to be the first appearance, correct?
Yeah, first appearance.
There we go.
So this is the first card we're going to be talking about this evening. This is from 1975. This is actually a sticker. This is Topps. There is no real number for this. Sometimes with the cards, it'll be like a number, like number 2, number 566, whatever. This doesn't really have any numbering. The old 75 Topps stickers didn't have numbering. The thing that's cool about this, and one of the reasons I wanted to recommend this one is because there have been persistent rumors surrounding Namor, the Sub-Mariner, for a very, very long time now. Him appearing, there was actually a reference at one point, actually Endgame, where they talked about a disturbance in the water, and Black Widow was worried about it. And then I can't remember a character's name for the Durham Lodge. They said, it's just an earthquake underwater. It doesn't mean anything, which is interesting. But there's a lot of rumors. I'm going to use the term swirling. There's a lot of rumors swirling around Namor, the Sub-Mariner, possibly coming up and appearing in actually an upcoming Marvel production of some kind. Sub-Mariner in the Marvel Universe is sometimes referred to as the first mutant because he was born with special abilities. The thing that's really interesting about Sub-Mariner is that Sub-Mariner is actually a Golden Age character. This character's been around for a very, very long time. And I do have a very interesting book I wanted to recommend to go along with that. This is a great book here. This came out several years ago. This is called Fire and Water, Bill Everett, the Sub-Mariner, and the Birth of Marvel Comics. It's a really great book here. You can check this out over on Amazon, but it's called Fire and Water. It's about Bill Everett, the guy who actually created the Sub-Mariner.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
It's a really, really great book. I'm a huge fan of Bill Everett. Bill Everett is actually also the original artist who worked on Daredevil. for Marvel Comics. But Bill Everett is basically the creator of the Sub-Mariner. So here's the deal with this card. This is your first appearance of Sub-Mariner. Basically on a credit card or sticker, it doesn't matter. This is your first appearance. The reason I like this for a trading card pick is, unlike the 66 cards, a lot of the 66 cards are pretty expensive. I mean, they're pretty pricey. The thing that's nice about the 75 top sticker is if you can find a decent copy of it, you can get it anywhere from $5 to $20, depending upon the condition, raw. Okay, that's not graded, but that's raw. So $5 to $20. And this is really great because this is basically your first appearance for Namor the Sub-Mariner on a trading card or a sticker. And I think it's a really, really great pick. So
now, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. Is Sub-Mariner generally considered, like you were showing the book, is he generally considered the origin of the Marvel Universe, like the first Marvel character, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, Human Torch and I believe Sub-Mariner, if I remember correctly, were actually in Marvel Comics #1, like back when it was called Timely. So
Okay.
they actually they do go all the way back to the birth of Marvel Comics. They're some of the oldest characters, like Captain America, who actually came from the 40s as well. Right. But if memory serves, I believe both Namor and the Human Torch were actually in Marvel Comics #1.
Although it's fair to note that the Human Torch has been reinvented, right? The classic
Yes.
Human Torch, right? Because we're not talking about the Fantastic Four Human Torch, right? We're talking about the original Golden Age, which is much like what they've done with, say, like, you know, on the DC side with like Green Lantern, the Flash, where there's a Golden Age version of the character, and then there's the quote unquote Silver Age version of the character, and that's the case with Human Torch. Whereas Sub-Mariner and Captain America, you know, they're still the same character, just like Batman or Superman. I just kind of want to make that clarification as well for people that I'm sure most people are aware of that, but maybe you're not. But because I generally look at Sub-Mariner as like the first Marvel character. That's the way that I look at it. You know what I mean? So he has a lot of importance for the history of Marvel. So and Hollywood Jackson had a funny little quote. Please don't pee in my pool, and I won't swim in your toilet.
There you go. So just for a little bit of clarification, Namor the Sub-Mariner, and this is why I had a little bit of confusion in my head because I was trying to remember exactly. First appearance. It's considered unpublished, but for some reason they're saying that Motion Picture Funnies Weekly #1 from April of 1939 is considered to be like the first appearance, but they say it's unpublished. But my understanding, which is also what is coming up here in the search, is that it was Marvel Comics #1 from 1939. So but I do know that Namor the Sub-Mariner was at Marvel Comics #1, along with the original Human Torch. The original Human Torch was actually a robot. And one of the big first early crazy awesome battles, actually the 24-hour comic book day challenge, the believed birth of that is actually from the first time that the Sub-Mariner and the Human Torch actually fought each other, which would have been fire and water. In order to get that book out, they turned that book around basically in 24 hours. And the legend of that story is what helped birth the 24-hour comic book day challenge that's still celebrated by a lot of people. I participated in that actually 3 times myself, and actually we've successfully published 3 books under those conditions. But I just think this is a really great pick. So if you're into the trading cards, if you're looking to pick something up, this is your one that potentially could be an interesting investment pick if you can get it in a good condition. And again, unlike the 66 cards, the thing that's nice about this one is, and again, as far as I can tell, this is his first appearance, everybody. He isn't on a 66 card as far as I can tell. This is going to be it right here.
Now, I have another question. I have another question for you, Dave, from an aesthetic point of view. This particular card, what do you think about the color scheme? To me, it looks a little off. I mean, I'm not a huge Sub-Mariner fan. I definitely don't claim to have a ton of knowledge about the character, but I do have some. I have some, Marvel reference books and things like that. So the color scheme seems really weird to me. What do you think about that?
this is his outfit that he was wearing for a brief period of time, like in the 70s. He did have like an outfit with these wings and whatever. So this is kind of this outfit that he was wearing back then. The color scheme is a little questionable. I'll be honest with you, it looks a little weird. But it is still technically the Submariner, and this is your first appearance. When we get to the actual card that I personally prefer, that's going to be your classic Submariner, and that's an incredible image. But this is basically just, again, as far as I could tell, this is technically your first appearance of the Submariner. So, and like I said, the thing that's nice about this is if you like the Submariner and you haven't had a chance to collect, any of the cards or the stickers yet, you can get this one relatively inexpensively. For, like I said, anywhere from $5 to $20 depending upon the condition. That's why I like it. It's a first appearance and it's very affordable.
There you go.
All right, very cool. So let's go ahead and segue into the next one. So that'll be the Skybox, the Marvel Masterpieces for the Namor. All right, so this is going to be my pick for this evening. This is kind of more the classic Submariner. This is the version of the character most people would be familiar with just the swim trunks essentially and the gold wrist bands. So this is from 1992. This is Skybox. This is the Marvel Masterpieces. This is card number 57. This is Namor the Submariner. This is my pick for if you're going to have any card, a great card of Namor the Submariner. This is the card I feel like everyone should have in their collection. This is painted by the great Joe Jusko. This is just an incredibly powerful, awesome image. It's just incredible. And to me, this is it's still, in my opinion, this is still the best Namor the Submariner card that's ever been printed on paper. I don't feel like that you can get any better than this. So this is my personal pick. If you're going to just have one Namor the Submariner card in your collection, this should be the one. I love the Impel one. It's classic, but man, this painted card is absolutely killer. So this was my pick for Namor the Submariner.
David Motz points out that it looks like Spock from Star Trek. He does look a little bit like a Vulcan to me. I do agree with you, David Motz.
Now, it's important to remember
buffer.
Yeah. It's important to remember that Namor the Submariner, the kind of the flat top with the widow's peak and the pointed ears and the arched eyebrows, he's had that look since he originally debuted in 1939. If you look at this cover again here, this is a classic Namor image. But you see that right there, drawn by Bill Everett. There you go.
You can compare them side by side, the two images, and you can definitely see it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's just a great character. I've always had a fascination with Namor the Submariner. Matter of fact, the first comic book page I ever attempted to draw as a kid, I did it as an art project, and it was actually a Namor the Submariner page. And I remember in grade school, I was always drawing Namor the Submariner. I first found out about the character it was a collection of comic strips and old comic book like stories and stuff, just random reprints of things. And there was this really kind of cool short little story about Namor the Submariner that involved Namorita. Or no, it was Namora. I think it might have been Namora. It was one of the two cousins, I forget. And I just thought it was really neat, and I just loved the art style. Just the art style itself spoke to me. I love that 1930s, 1940s aesthetic, and I always have. If you pay attention to my work, you'll see I love to pay tribute to a lot of the classic characters, and this is just a great card. I can't recommend this card enough to have in people's personal collections.
Yeah, it's a great looking card and great artwork. It definitely it stands out. There's no doubt about it.
And then David Motz here says art by Joe Jusko. Nice. Yes, this is by the great Joe Jusko. Probably on an upcoming episode, I'll actually talk about Joe Jusko's Tarzan series, the classic Edgar Rice Burroughs. That art in that Tarzan series is absolutely incredible. I bought that whole set just because of the art. Joe Jusko is amazing. All right, so those are our first two picks for this evening, all featuring Submariner. And again, the main reason is because There's just been a lot of interesting rumors swirling around Namor the Sub-Mariner, and I thought it'd be interesting to feature the character. And these are really great cards that you can pick up very affordably. Same deal with this one. You can pick up this particular card for $2 raw, sometimes even less if you buy it in a set of other cards. I mean, you can pick this card up really inexpensively. And right now on eBay, there is a graded card in a slab going for $20. So even if you want to pick one up graded, there's a really nice one graded, and it was just at $20 last time I checked. So if I was in a different financial position, I would have already bid on it, and it would be $20 probably now. It'd probably be at least $25 because the guy probably would have tried to outbid me.
There you go.
So
yeah, and it seems like this is also one of those cards that you could, from sort of an investment standpoint, you could get for an affordable price, and you just hold on to it, waiting for that inevitable, Submariner, show or movie, appearance, that kind of a thing, and then you'll get that Marvel bump. So it's one of, I think it's a good pick in that sense of just one to hold on to.
Right. And definitely too, don't forget that sticker, that's your first appearance. So I would recommend just picking up both of them. I mean, like I said, you can get a decent copy for both, not including shipping, or, auction fees or whatever. I mean, you're looking at what, like $7-8 for both of them. So definitely worth taking the time to pick up. So, all right, very cool.
So what's our next pick?
All right. So our next pick is going to be Iron Fist. I'm a huge fan of Iron Fist. Let's do the first appearance. I love this character. I've loved the Iron Fist character since forever. I know he had a bit of a struggling Netflix show that some people liked and some people hated. I felt like the second season was a lot stronger than the first. I'm going to be honest with you. We're talking about Iron Fist this evening because I just love the character. That's what we're going to talk about Iron Fist here for a little bit. There's been a lot of talk that a lot of the Netflix actors who played some of the characters, the Charlie Cox, for example, reprising his role as Daredevil in one of the upcoming MCU productions. There's a lot of talk about John Barenthal actually reprising his role as the Punisher, showing up in one of these upcoming Marvel productions. We talked before about that there are these persistent rumors still going on that John Barenthal may be the Punisher actually in the Moon Knight Disney Plus series. Previous show, we recommended to you a great book that you can pick up still super dirt cheap. First time that Moon Knight and the Punisher fought each other. You guys need to get on that if you think there's any truth to that rumor. But for this evening, I want to talk about the one Defender character from the Netflix series that no one's given any love to, and that, of course, is my man, the Iron Fist. So I still think Iron Fist is a great character. I actually have one of the few slabbed graded comic books I actually own is actually Iron Fist #1, which is actually back here on the shelf. It's on the shelf over here near my my Moon Knight books, which I showcased on one episode. I've got both the second and the third appearance of Moon Knight slabbed. So anyhow, I just love Iron Fist. I think he's a great character, and so I just want to talk about him this evening. I think if it turns out that Iron Fist is going to make a return to the MCU, I do think it'll be, in something coming up. But again, we don't have any rumors. This is the one Netflix Marvel hero that's been getting absolutely no love. So we're going to show him some love this evening. So this is your first appearance, everybody. This is your first appearance of Iron Fist, actually on a trading card or a sticker. This is it right here. This is from 1975. This is Topps. This is a sticker. Again, no numbering on these old 75 Marvel stickers, but this is Iron Fist. This is your first appearance. And yes, you're correct, Hollywood. Hollywood Jackson says, not sure about his shoes.
Those are very girly. Very girly.
That's because when you do martial arts, you wear Kung Fu shoes. You wear Kung Fu shoes.
James is in the house. He says ballet slippers.
Well, here's the deal, everybody. If you've ever done Kung Fu, you would realize that the shoes you wear are almost like slippers. I am a recovering Kung Fu guy. I did Kung Fu for a brief period of my life, and those Kung Fu shoes look kind of silly.
Well, Hollywood asked, does he have a purse to match?
Man, y'all are being too mean. Y'all being too mean.
Hey, when I did martial arts, we always did it barefoot. We never wore shoes. So that's interesting.
In Kung Fu, you typically do wear like some kind of a shoe, and sometimes they do look kind of like slippers. So But anyhow, I've always loved Iron Fist. I think he's a great character. And so, but this is your first appearance.
I do like the word balloon, the kung fu-y. I do like that. That I do like. I do like. I don't. I'm with Hollywood. The shoes, but I do like the little word bubble. And then James also says he's got a stash. It says Miss Kung Fu.
Yeah, he says he's got a sash. Now, before anyone gets too much further into this, understand that the Kung Fu system does actually wear sashes. Okay, so let's put that out there. That wearing a sash again is actually a part of Kung Fu. All right.
And Hollywood asked the question: can you walk on hot coals with shoes?
I'm sure you can. Wow, everyone's really having way more fun with this than I thought they were going to. All right, so this is the first appearance of Iron Fist. This is a great character, even though everyone seems to think he's a joke. This is a great character, and you're looking at again, just like with the Namor first appearance, you're looking at $5 to $20. Again, raw for this particular. This is a sticker, but this is your first appearance, and I just think it's really cool. I do have just to put this out there, full disclaimer, I do have both the Namor sticker and the Iron Fist sticker and both these trading cards in my collection. And these are some of the things had been considering getting graded until it turned into just such a malaise of nonsense trying to get things graded. But anyhow, this is a great investment pick. And like I said, I thought it'd be fun to talk about Iron Fist because he's the one Netflix defender who there are no rumors about at all. But anyhow, I thought it'd be fun to talk about him nonetheless. All right. So he says, where's Hong Kong Fooey? Hollywood Jackson says. That's an interesting question. Where is Hong Kong Fooey? I don't know. In today's culture, maybe Hong Kong Fooey is no longer okay. Who knows? All right. I mean, supposedly that was the problem in the Netflix show. A lot of people got mad because, they cast someone to play Danny Rand who actually looked like Danny Rand. All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next one here. This is going to be my pick for this evening. This is a great card. This is a really, really great looking card. I know everyone's been having issues with the costume, but I've always just loved the classic Iron Fist costume. All right. So this is from 1993. This is Skybox Marvel Masterpieces card number 57, Iron Fist. This is my pick. This is one of those great cards I feel like everyone should have in their collection if you're a Marvel Comics fan. Especially if you like these kind of more eclectic characters. I like the more eclectic characters. I like Moon Knight. I like Iron Fist. I like Namor the Sub-Mariner. I love Iron Man and, Daredevil and Spider-Man and whoever else too. But I've always loved these kind of more B characters. Kind of C-list characters. They're just a lot of fun. So anyhow, this is another incredible, great looking card. This is also another card painted by the great Joe Gisco. I mean, this guy is a master of these really great, powerful painted images. I've always loved this card. So this is going to be your pick for this evening. This is my personal pick. Same deal. One up to about $4 raw for this card. Picked this card up very, very inexpensively. And again, I did see actually some auctions where there were already slabbed, graded cards. These are all the SGC, the black one, the black framed graded cards. This and the Namor Masterpiece card I saw were both SGC, but there are already graded slabbed versions of these cards available again on eBay, and both auctions were going for about $20 when I saw them a couple nights ago. So again, just really, really great looking cards. So
totally agree with Hollywood Jackson. Very nice artwork.
Yeah, these are fantastic looking cards. Joe Gisco, those Marvel Masterpiece cards, especially the first series, are just absolutely, absolutely incredible. And so I decided, since people were, taking issue with my Impel picks, I decided, let's just talk about just some of the best cards you can have in your collection. We'll talk about the first appearance, and then we'll just talk about some of the greatest cards for these characters that have ever been created. And man, is this Joe Gisco card for Iron Fist is absolutely incredible. So again, same deal. You could pick up, the first appearance sticker, and you could actually pick up this really great Marvel Masterpieces card. I mean, you're looking at, again, $6-7, not including shipping and auction fees to pick up both of these. So I just think these are really interesting picks for those of us who are collectors who like these, again, kind of the more offbeat Marvel characters.
And Hollywood says Eric needs a Picard card. Sorry, that's James that said that.
Well, here's the deal.
You know what's funny? Let me comment on that since it was aimed at me. James, actually, I've thought about talking about, I think it's the 25th anniversary cards that I have, the Star Trek Impel. I think it's the 25th anniversary. I got to double check. I even have the binder. Like I got the official binder that you had to mail away for. I still have one of the original boxes. It's opened, because I took all the cards and I made like a complete collection, put it in my binder. But actually, James, in a future episode, I might be talking about a Picard card. I don't know how much interest there are in those particular cards, but I have them. They're in my collection, and I might do a segment on them in a future episode.
Well, and with Eric in mind, I do have actually some card selections for this evening with Eric in mind. I've been talking about how we've been mostly focusing on Marvel cards, the MCU, the Marvel characters. That's the hot big thing, right? But I want to make sure that we give some love actually to the DC characters. So we do have some DC picks for this evening, and I learned some interesting things about this particular character researching this. So if you wouldn't mind, Eric, let's put up the 1979 Cracker Jack. All right, so
Cracker Jacks.
This is interesting. All right, so there is a card that predates this that would technically be, oh Lord,
Hollywood Jackson, the Picardinator.
All right, there you go. So there is a card that predates this card for we're talking about Captain Marvel. Most people know him as Shazam nowadays, but originally he was known as Captain Marvel. And I was surprised because when I started looking into the trading cards for Captain Marvel / Shazam, I really thought there'd be a card that predated all of these that came from the 40s, from the Golden Age. We're talking about a lot of Golden Age characters this evening between Namor the Sub-Mariner and, again, Captain Marvel. You're talking about Golden Age characters. For example, I have a vintage Captain Marvel pen actually from the 1940s, and I actually have an actual Ashcan comic book, a vintage Ashcan comic book actually for Captain Marvel Jr. that actually was actually from the 40s as well. Which
was Elvis's favorite character.
Exactly. That's where the lightning bolt and the taking care of business comes from, in case people weren't sure. And what was interesting about this is I would just assume there had to have been a card from the 40s. So when I went in and started researching, I went to a bunch of different sources. And as far as I could tell, there wasn't a lot of trading card stuff that was done for Captain Marvel up until roughly about the 70s. And here's the sad thing. There is a card that predates this one that's, I think, from about 76, give or take, that would be his first appearance. But I couldn't find a single image of it anywhere.
Wow.
So either it's a card that's in people's collections that not many people have seen, or it's something that doesn't come up for auction very often. But I could not even find an image of the first appearance card to even show you this evening. That's how rare that card is.
Do you know who made it? Do you know who made it?
I don't remember right now, because I didn't write all the information down on it because I couldn't find anything for it. It's kind of bad. But what I did is I focused on the one card that you can still kind of find. This card is also incredibly rare. This is from 1979, and as it says Cracker Jacks, this was actually in Cracker Jacks. This is the superheroes. Again, no numbering on this. No numbering on this card. This is Shazam, the original Captain Marvel. This, as far as I could tell, is his second appearance on a trading card, although some people will refer to it as a stamp. And there is currently one auction on eBay, and you can actually get this card in an auction on eBay. It is inexpensive, but it's shipping from Canada, and for some reason they refuse to send to Arizona, or I would already have bought it. So wow. I couldn't get my hands on this if I wanted. I don't know why they want to ship to Arizona, but anyhow, they won't. So if you're in Canada, you might be able to get this card. But this card does show up in a few kind of sets kind of here and there, but this card is incredibly rare. The but it's not going to set you back a lot. I mean, you're looking at probably $5, give or take, maybe a little over $5 for this card. But it is incredibly, incredibly rare. So again, the reason we're not showing the first appearance is because I have no idea what it looks like. I can't find it. But this is your second appearance of Shazam Captain Marvel on a trading card. What do you think, Eric?
I'm surprised it's not a lot more expensive. I mean, this is a character that has had a major motion picture, in the last 5 years or whatever it is, and has another one coming out. I mean, we're talking about the new suit for Shazam 2. It surprises me. I kind of wonder if maybe you think, this is just me spitballing, but I'm curious your opinion, Dave. Is it maybe because collectors just don't really value Cracker Jack stuff?
I don't think it's necessarily that they don't value Cracker Jack stuff. I think it, honestly, Eric, it's just that not many of these were saved, and there's just not that many out there. Like, this is like when I was researching these early Shazam Captain Marvel trading cards, like they're like stupid rare. Like this, it's impossible to eat. Like I said, I couldn't even find a picture example of the first one. I couldn't even find one. And so you're just looking at something that's just incredibly, incredibly rare. I don't think it, like, for example, like if I had this in my collection, it would be incredibly well preserved and taken care of. And regardless of the condition, I'd probably have it slabbed just because it would be neat to just kind of have it in a registry, you know what I mean, of some kind, so people knew it was out there, but I have a feeling there's probably a lot of people that actually have this card in their collections, but they just don't tell anybody about it, or people just don't know, for example, I have a lot of Captain Marvel, stuff in my collection, but I don't, a lot of it isn't out. Like, for example, my Captain Marvel Jr. ash can that's actually from the 40s. I mean, the paper is really brown and brittle because it's so old. So it's in a high, like the best quality Mylar that I could put it in, and it's tucked away where it's out of the light, and a lot of times when people come over that are friends or people that are collectors or something, I don't even think to take the thing out, to be honest with you. It mostly just sits, preserved in a special box. And that's kind of the thing I've been wanting to fix. That's why I've been actually looking at getting rid of a lot of things out of my collection and actually upgrading a lot of the stuff that I have and getting things, graded and slabbed and whatever. The studio here is mostly away from the sunlight. So I can kind of have things out and kind of display them, for a short period of time, kind of rotate it out. And that's what I intend to do here in the studio, is kind of rotate things out of the collection, right? Where when people come over, they go, oh, that's cool, or oh, that's cool, But I do think, in all honesty, there's probably people that have this in their collection, but it's just something that's either being preserved or it's just maybe put away. So I don't know, but this is an incredibly rare trading card. Gotcha. All right. We do have some comments over here. James says 7-Eleven plastic Slurpee cups. Had them all until my mom had a pool party and put them in the dishwasher. That's unfortunate. I actually, in addition, along these lines, James, I actually have the Captain Marvel 7-Eleven plastic Slurpee cup. It is actually put away in my closet. And really, really awesome. And then Hollywood Jackson says 7-Eleven. That's a journey in the Wayback Machine. I agree. All right. So we do have a request here. It's kind of unusual. We'll let that go. Eric, you can address that, and then if you want,
I think I know what that's in reference to. I don't recognize the I don't recognize the profile, but I think I think I know what they're referencing. So just give me some clarification there. Absence. I can't even pronounce it right. Give me some clarification there on the YouTube comment, because I think I know who you are, and if you can confirm that, I'll definitely do that. So
all right, there you go.
I just don't recognize the actual profile, but I think I know what they're talking about. So
all right, well, there you go. All right. So Hollywood Jackson just has a comment. He says, Cracker Jacks. Can you call them that these days? Yes, I believe you still can.
That's a good point, Hollywood. I didn't even think of that. We're gonna get banned again.
I swear, we don't have to do anything controversial to get in trouble with YouTube on this show. We don't have to do anything controversial to get in trouble. Anyhow, all right.
That's the
all
truth.
right. Well, let's
That's
go ahead
truth.
and let's go ahead and go to the next card pick here, real quick. All right,
a couple different ones on this one.
Okay, now this is the one. This is the big one. This is my pick. These are 3 cards, and this is my pick. So this is from 1992. These are, by the way, these are some of my favorite trading cards in my collection. Some of my absolute favorite. I was kind of torn because I almost showed the Steve Rude painted Shazam card, which is really great and beautiful, but I decided for these particular cards, and there's a very particular reason why. All right, so this is 1992. This is Impel trading cards. This is the DC Comics Cosmic cards. This is card number 13, 14, and 15. This again is Shazam, the original Captain Marvel. This is my pick for this evening. The reason I love these cards is because you have a representation of the Golden Age Captain Marvel, the Modern Age, the Silver Age Captain Marvel, and then the Modern Age Captain Marvel. And one of these is actually drawn by the great Kurt Schaffenberger. Kurt Schaffenberger is a classic Captain Marvel artist. So you have just a really well-renowned, highly regarded, thought of Captain Marvel artist who actually worked on one of these cards. One of the other ones is actually drawn by the great Graham Nolan. It's done in kind of the style of Jerry Ordway, but it actually isn't Jerry Ordway. It's actually Graham Nolan. But these are just really, really great cards. And I just love it because when you get them together, like you can see them here as a set, they're just really nice to have. And it's so cool because you have kind of these different variations. The suit doesn't change too much between the years, but it's just really neat to kind of see this. And if you can tell, I didn't put them in line because it would cover us up. But if you can tell, the backgrounds actually connect. And that's the 7 deadly sins of man in the background. And so it's just really, really awesome, cool card. Cool cards.
Yeah, this is the classic image of Captain Marvel. For me, I do want to say the bottom one, his face looks a little goofy to me, but I do like the other 2 on the top.
I love all of them. I think they're all really great. So if you're a Captain Marvel fan, the crazy thing is when you do research on Shazam Captain Marvel, the most of it seems like the examples of trading cards you can find are actually these. A lot of the other ones, they're either just lost to time or they're just incredibly hard to get pictures of. There are actually some examples of, Tom Tyler's Captain Marvel, the movie serials. There was a couple different movie serial sets that were done over the years. And you can get images of Tom Tyler's Captain Marvel if that's something that you're into. So that is out there. It does exist. I couldn't find a lot of examples of that. And I wanted to focus, again, more on the classic, the comic book version of Captain Marvel, which is what I wanted to focus on. So these are going to be your picks for this evening. Now, the Cracker Jack card, again, that we talked about before, again, you can get for $5 or over $5. It's incredibly difficult, rare, hard to find. And then these particular cards from the Impel line, you're looking at $1 to $2 each, not including shipping, obviously, and any kind of an auction fee. Pick these cards up, incredibly, incredibly rare. I have a box of DC Cosmic cards, actually, that hopefully at some point we're going to do a live unboxing on the show with those. And if I get duplicates of those actually coming out of those boxes, we might actually give those away here on the show. So yeah, and then again, my apologies. I know people are still waiting for me to get packages in the mail. I still haven't done it. It's really bad of me, but hopefully they'll be going out. Hopefully this weekend. I'm always waiting for the timing of something. It seems like, which is why we haven't been doing the giveaways for a while. Is because I've been proven to be relatively unreliable in getting things in the mail lately. But anyhow, these are your picks for this evening for Captain Marvel Shazam, the Cracker Jack from 1979, and these 3 cards here from the 1992 Impel DC Cosmic Cards trading card line.
James had a comment, which he says, then maybe in some bike tire spokes out there, So that he's saying some of those
Right.
cards we're talking about that are hard to find, they may have been put in somebody's bike spokes. You know what I mean? Kids used to do that a lot, and I'm sure that many a trading card found its demise in somebody's bike tire. That's a good point, James. Especially back in the day when kids probably didn't care as much. They didn't think any of this stuff was necessarily going to go up in value. And I am surprised how affordable these particular cards are, because again, this is a character that is pretty popular. You know, that is still in the mainstream consciousness. It's crazy to me that these cards aren't worth more than they are, but maybe that means that that's a good thing to hold on to, and perhaps they will go up in value in the future.
The thing that's nice about the trading cards for people who like the characters and are into the movies or the TV shows, the thing that's nice about these is you don't have like a crazy barrier to entry, you know what I mean, in terms of cost, one. Number two, they don't take up anywhere near as much room actually a comic book collection does, which is I also think is kind of a nice and a plus. It takes up a lot less room. You know, and the other thing I like about this too is that it's not as much to collect. I mean, you know, for example, for Captain Marvel, since you can't even get most of them, I mean, if you can get your hands on the 79 Cracker Jack, which we know is a comic book image card, which is why I wanted to feature it. And then your next three acquisitions are these cards right here, you know, and again, they're not going to cost too much, you know, provided that you can find them. And you're going to have some really, really nice, great Captain Marvel collectibles. The 79 Cracker Jack card, if you can find it, that's a conversation starter in and of itself, just because people are going to be like, where in the hell did you get that? So that's the thing that's nice. It's not like you have like a whole line of comic books. Like if you're going to try and collect Captain Marvel, okay, and you're going to, let's say you want to be a completist, you have the Fawcett publication books that actually start again back in the 40s. Some of those books are incredibly expensive, you know, all the way to when they cease publication. And then you got to go over and you got to start collecting the DC line, which starts up in the 70s, which the first issue is already starting to go. You know, wasn't a terribly pricey book, but it's gotten a lot more expensive since the Zach Levi movie came out. So, you know, you've got a lot of books to collect. They take up a lot of room. I'm a big comic collector, so I'm not saying don't do it. I mean, if you want to do it, by all means do it, you know. But again, same thing with Sub-Mariner. You want to collect Sub-Mariner, you want to be a Sub-Mariner purist, you know, completist, man, you got a tough road to hoe, because again, the first comic book that Sub-Mariner that I know for sure definitely was in as an early, or again, in my mind, I'm thinking his first appearance, that's Marvel Comics from, you know, 1939, 1940 or whatever. That's an expensive book.
Yeah.
So
no doubt, you know, there. Hey, Dave, I do want to start getting things rolling a little bit more, because we're almost at an hour already. So I do want to try to get the show moving a little bit more. So we do have a question from Hollywood, so I will address his question. It says, I have a question. Do you remember the toy that came out with different characters where you could change the head, body, and the legs, and then scribe and color the characters? What was that thing? I don't know. Do you, Dave?
I'm going to try and research it. Why don't we just keep moving forward with the show, and I'll try and get the answer to your question on Hollywood Jackson. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure how to search for it. So let me search and see if I can find out what it is. But yeah, Eric's right. Let's go ahead and keep I didn't mean to jabber on so much about the trading cards.
It's no problem. It's no problem. But just for folks out there, we're trying to keep the show relatively short. You know what I mean, compared to what we were doing before. So we're still working on the format. So I just want people to understand that we're still trying to work through that, because normally our shows were about 2 hours long, and we're trying to actually cut that in half, which generally we actually end up being more like an hour and a half. So we've cut 30 minutes basically, but that's kind of where we're at right now. And we're still trying to deal with that format. This is still a evolving process. So for folks out there, so you know what's going on. Now I've been pushing the Marvel Legends line quite a bit. And I do have a little bit of the show intel. I've got a pickup that I actually got last week. For those that may have missed the show last week, I didn't reveal this pickup because I was actually doing the Mandalorian retro line. I actually got the entire series, all 7 figures, and it was actually an 8-pack. So one of the figures was duplicated. So check that out. If you're interested in those Mandalorian Star Wars retro figures, the retro line, I did do an unboxing of that last week. And that is now a part of my personal collection. But I always like to show my pickups on the show, especially when it's related to the stuff that we talk about. I do push the Marvel Legends line quite a bit. So I wanted to go ahead and let me see here. All right. So this is a pickup that I got. This was the last figure that I needed to complete the store versions, basically, of waves 1 through 2. So I basically have everything from wave 1 and wave 2, besides the Hasbro Pulse stuff, which I think a lot of people consider that almost like wave 0. It's not like considered wave 1 because it was never available in stores. The packaging is different. That one actually includes Cyclops, which I'm going to be getting to Cyclops in a minute for wave 3. But this is the Black Panther figure. It was difficult to find for some reason. I had gotten all the other figures, and this one, just for whatever reason, was difficult to find, but I finally picked it up last week. So I just wanted to show that to everybody. It is a cool figure. There are some variants of that because of the Hasbro Pulse version is a little different. Like it's got a different card back. That's the version that came out at Target. And I did find out, I did find out that was kind of interesting. That the 8-week rule, okay, that I talked about with Spectre Creative. I found this figure in between that 8-week period. It's the same store where I bought all my other figures and basically cleaned Target out of their Marvel Legends figures at that particular store. I went back to that store like 2 weeks later. This was last week, and then I found that by itself. So I am wondering about this little 8-week rule that we've talked about, and this comes from Spectre Creative. You can check out his channel. He has a whole big video about this 8-week peg thing that basically means every pig is supposed to have an 8-week supply. Okay, so it was kind of a weird anomaly, and I kind of wonder, was this a figure kind of just sitting in a back room somewhere, or is it possible that maybe Target is ordering these figures, as they start to run out? I don't know. Supposedly, each peg is supposed to be 8 weeks, and you're going to have to wait 8 weeks for the next shipment to come in. But that wasn't the case with this figure. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I know there are folks like me that like the thrill of the hunt. They like to go out to stores. But it's very frustrating because you constantly see the empty pegs. We've talked about that, the phenomenon of the empty pegs. And a lot of people have been talking about that, in collectors circles on a lot of different channels, like Retro Blast has talked about it, Junk Band's talked about it, obviously Spectre Creative talks about it. So just something to be aware of out there as far as, being able to actually get these figures. I just lucked out and came across this one. So I did want to show, we actually did get some good attention with the Wave 4. The news that we had shown in a previous episode. I recommend you check that out if you're interested in this line. But we haven't talked about Wave 3. We kind of skipped it. So this is from Collector's Cantina. And this is basically, this is from April. So this is not like breaking news. But I wanted to cover it because we covered Wave 4. We never covered Wave 3. So here it goes. Here we got Wave 3 of the Retro Marvel Legends. By the way, what you officially call these things is anybody's guess to me. So like they call it like Marvel Legends Series Retro, okay? I like to call them Kenner Marvel Legends. That's what I like to call them because they say Kenner on them. So I like to call them Kenner Marvel Legends. Some people call them Hasbro Marvel Legends Retro. None of that's on the packaging. All the packaging says is Kenner. So, and it does say, Marvel Legends. So I call them Kenner Marvel Legends, but people call them different things. So what we got here is we got the Gray Hulk, which makes a lot of sense because in the previous wave we did have the Green Hulk, so they just repainted him. We do have the Fantastic Four character here, the Invisible Woman. So we have that. I know there are some people that were a little disappointed in this character because they felt like it should have been like the Iceman character, where it's that like translucent plastic. And they're like, well, if they could do it for Iceman, why couldn't they do it for Invisible Woman? Like, if you notice the card art, it actually shows like her legs are invisible, but on the actual figure, they're not. And I know there are some people that were disappointed in that. So I just wanted to point that out. But I like it. I think it actually is a pretty good looking figure. We, of course, have Vision. which is very big, obviously, with the WandaVision show and things like that. This is the classic version of Vision. Very cool looking, I think. I definitely like the classic look more than the MCU look. MCU look, actually. I personally like the classic look. We've got Ant-Man, also very much the classic look. Good looking figure, I think. He's got the helmet. The one criticism I'll give this is I think it would have been neat if the helmet came off, but that's like a minor gripe. That's just me. I just think that would have been cool. But these figures generally don't have that kind of stuff, those kind of features. This is Bullseye. This is a pretty good looking figure. I know one criticism of it that people have said is that he comes with these size, which basically are the same size that Elektra came with. I have the Elektra figure, and I can confirm she has these kind of size. And some people didn't like that. I'm curious, Dave, do you have an opinion on that? As someone, I'm sure you're more familiar with the Bullseye character than I am. Do you think that the size are an appropriate weapon to package with Bullseye?
Well, seeing as how one of the most iconic moments in Daredevil in a early comic book, what I guess we'll call it. Well, we'll stated Daredevil. Since one of the most important moments that ever happened in Daredevil comics is when Bullseye actually killed Elektra with a sigh, it makes sense he'd come with him. So
there you go. Yeah, I think what some collectors don't like is that they're the exact same size basically as Elektra, and they wanted something different. You know what I mean? So I think that's where that criticism is coming from. But as Dave has said, it's appropriate. It's definitely appropriate for the character. It makes sense, and it probably saves Hasbro a little bit of money, right? And this is the one I alluded to it a little bit earlier. This was in the Hasbro Pulse, which I would call like Wave 0. The Hasbro Pulse, you could only get online. They came basically packaged in a box, and it would be two figures together. So it's got separate art for the box they come in. It's got a different card back. I would call that Wave 0. That was released with Cyclops, but now he's coming out in stores in Wave 3. Now, I have heard accounts from people in the Twitterverse that has said they have seen these in the wild already. I have not. I live in Arizona. I do go to Target quite regularly. I have not seen any Wave 3 out there, but other people in other parts of the country have reported seeing these in stores. So I just want to put that out there. I have not seen it, but there are people saying these are available now at retail. You can find them. It's very hard to find a place that you can order these online, by the way. Very hard. I was looking into it. It's very hard to find these online, but you will see people scalping them on eBay. Somehow the scalpers always seem to come up with these things. So there it is.
Interesting. I do have the answer actually to Hollywood's question.
All right, let's hear it.
Do you mind if I share my screen here for just a minute?
Not at all. Not at all. Here, let me get mine down.
All right, so I think this is what you're talking about, Hollywood. You'll have to confirm or not, but I thought this is what you meant. Okay, so this, I believe, is what you're talking about, Hollywood. This is 1979. This is the Mighty Men and Monster Maker. So this is by Tomy. It's, again, Mighty Men and Monster Maker. Consists of 18 tiles with raised lines on them, 6 heads, 6 upper torso, and 6 lower bodies. Most of the tiles are double-sided. So you'll find a vampire head on one side, for example, and on the flip side, a reptilian, Gorn-like monster head. Torsos include a superhero body, breaking chains, and a 4-armed alien torso, among others. Lower body examples include a pair of mummy-wrapped legs, all the way to an upright, walking, pants-wearing pair of ape legs. A few of the torso and lower body tiles also have textures on the flip side that include scales, fur, and other weird. So basically what you do is you put these tiles into this little holder, and you put your piece of paper on top of it, and it's like an etching. That's what he meant by scribble. So you just would take a crayon or something, and you would go over it, and it would basically create a relief etching. But yeah. And Hollywood says he had one of those. I had one of these too, Hollywood. And it's funny you bring this up. I've been thinking about this actually the last few days. And I was also trying to remember what it was called. But yeah, this is the Tommy's Mighty Men and Monster Maker. And for those people who are into, again, retro collectibles, retro toys, and that kind of stuff, since what we're talking about, there are some of these you can actually get on eBay. There's kind of a couple of them kind of floating around kind of here or there. If you're curious to pick one of these up and have it in your collection. That's kind of an interesting thing. Thanks for bringing it up, Hollywood.
Yeah, I actually remember these things as well. Not this specific line, but they had other toys that were similar to this. It's the same basic concept. I don't remember. Again, I don't remember this particular line, but I do remember toys like this that had the etchings. I didn't own any myself, but I do remember them.
Yeah, this is really cool. I remember having this one. I think the only thing that was frustrating for this one, though, for me, because I like to draw so much, is I sometimes always wanted something I couldn't quite get. So I would probably start etching part of it, and then I would draw the rest. So anyhow, but that's just me.
Yeah, I gotcha. And then James says, would the shrinky dinks from our childhood still shrink if baked? I don't know, James. Would they? Yeah, they said I don't know if they last that long. I kind of vaguely know what you're talking about, but because I do kind of remember sort of that concept. I'm guessing they wouldn't. I'm guessing they wouldn't. I think at some point they expire. All right, so let's go ahead and let's segue over into pop culture news, Dave.
All right, sounds good.
Let me get the graphic up here. Apologize for these little technical snafus we have from time to time.
All right, you want me to set it up, or you just want to go right into it?
Yeah, we might as well just go right into it. So,
all right, sounds good.
I did in the comments for sharing the show, like on Twitter, and I think it's also in the YouTube description and things like that. I did specifically mention He-Man, and we have talked about He-Man on the show, so I definitely want to make sure we get to this. So this is an article from GameSpot, and it says Netflix Masters of the Universe Revelation gets glorious, nostalgic first trailer. The new animated He-Man series is produced by Kevin Smith and releases on July 23rd. And I want to remind folks, July 23rd, or whatever episode is around that time, the Sunday maybe before, probably, or probably maybe the Sunday after. Dave and I will have to figure that out. We're probably going to be talking about the actual live action version of Masters of the Universe, right? We may talk about the show a little bit. We've been hearing things that I think Dave and I haven't really liked. I wish we could actually do a trailer reaction, but we can't, because it seems every time we do a trailer reaction, we get a copyright flag, even though there's channels that are completely based on freaking trailer reactions and they're monetized. We're an unmonetized channel and we get hit. So I can't actually show you the trailer, but Dave and I have both seen it. So Dave, I want to get your reaction first. What did you think of this trailer for Masters of the Universe Revelation?
Well, real quick, Jackie's here, so I wanted to say hi, Jackie.
Hey,
nice
Jackie.
to have you back here.
Thank you for checking us out again. We really appreciate it.
All right, so I have seen the trailer, and I'll tell you this right now. Based on the trailer, I'm going to probably check out the first episode. I thought the trailer looked really good. I thought it was neat, the musical selection. It was not what I was kind of expecting, but overall, I mean, it looks really great. The animation looks really great. The character designs look really great. I really like the music. It seems like a lot of fun. So I'm gonna, based on the strength of the trailer, I am gonna watch the first episode and see how it actually turns out. And I'm just gonna kind of hope that it's good. Maybe some of what we heard, maybe it is just rumor, maybe it isn't true. I don't know. So I'm gonna give it a shot and we'll see. So that was my reaction. I thought it looked really good. I thought it was kind of a neat looking trailer. What did you think, Eric?
Well, I do want to address what you said, which is basically like sort of like the story rumors and things like that, because that actually is in this article. They actually do have an official plot synopsis, and I just want to read it. So, after a cataclysmic battle between He-Man and Skeletor, Eternia is fractured, and the Guardians of Grayskull are scattered. And after decades of secrets tore them apart, it's up to Teela to reunite the broken band of heroes and solve the mystery of the missing sword of power in a race against time to restore Eternia and prevent the end of the universe. Now, I'm going to ask you this, Dave. The trailer you saw, did that show any of that?
No.
Did the trailer you saw show that at all? That's what the story is?
No, this is
and it's like a rhetorical question, because I knew what Dave's answer was going to be, even though we didn't talk about this beforehand, because Dave and I don't do a lot of we do a little bit of show prep, but we like to try to come up with like, stories on our own and then get actual natural reactions on the air. That's the way we do things here. But I knew what he was going to say, even without us talking about it beforehand. That trailer, okay, which I don't think it's bad. I'm going to tell you the trailer I think is okay. I don't have any real issue with the trailer. It looks pretty cool. But I'm telling you, that story that I just told you, that official plot synopsis, you do not get that from that trailer one single bit. I believe, like we've said before, this is bait and switch. They're gonna kind of pull you all in, thinking that this is some great thing, and the rumor is you're not even get past the first episode. Basically, it's going to be like you're going to be thinking this is awesome, and then halfway through the episode, they're just going to change everything on you. That's what the big rumor is. But more and more, that's how I feel the show is going to go. I really do. That more and more, and I just feel this trailer does not convey those plot points at all. At all. They are not.
No,
they are not telling you what this show really is.
I'm kind of surprised because when you were reading that synopsis, because that's what we'd heard. That's what we heard that the show was going to be all about. Is that it was going to start off with a really classic, nostalgic, Masters of the Universe He-Man setup, and then through the beginning of it, and I've heard varying degrees. Either it's like halfway through the first episode, halfway through the series itself. Basically something happens, He-Man gets sidelined, and then it's basically the Tila show for the rest of it. So here's the deal. I don't have a problem with the Tila show. Just tell me you're giving me a Tila show. That's my
show it in the
problem.
Trailer.
Yeah,
show it in the darn trailer.
Tila,
they're so confident about this. Show me in the trailer what this show is actually going to be about.
I mean, Tila's in the trailer, but she's not featured as heavily as He-Man versus Skeletor. So and so for me, that's going to be my thing. It's like you can give me a Tila show, just tell me you're giving me a Tila show. Like if we'd had some of this battle sequence and it had switched, and then we saw Tila kind of calling people together and trying to solve just some idea of what this is really about. Because the trailer to me looks like that He-Man's back and Skeletor, like everybody's back, and we're gonna have this maybe huge climactic showdown between Skeletor and He-Man, which is great. But I'd like to know the show, what the show's all about. So I don't know. I don't know why they have to do this. I don't know. Anyhow, I feel really weird about.
I know why they have to do this, because otherwise no one will watch the show. That's why they have to do this. It's as simple as that.
All right. Well, there you go. I'm still going to check it out. I'll watch the first episode and I'll let you know how I feel about it.
Now, Hollywood says that he saw the old movie last night on Pluto. I do recommend the live action film. That is I own it. I actually own it. They used to show it on Comet quite a bit too, so you could actually get it over the air if you're one of those antenna guys like myself. David Montz also had a comment. He says, "I wish Skeletor sounded more like Skeletor instead of Joker," and that's kind of interesting. That's an interesting comment. So I haven't heard a lot of the voice stuff. I really haven't, David Montz, but I could definitely understand why he sounds that way.
Right. I talking about the original Master of the Universe movie, I love that movie, the Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella movie. I'm really excited for us actually here on the Retro Rogues Live to talk about it. In addition to it just being a favorite movie of mine, period, it's just a great fun movie. Also, an incredibly beautiful movie poster by the great Drew Struzan. Just an incredibly amazing, awesome movie poster.
Yeah, it is a great poster. Very quickly, I did want to go over some emerging Indiegogo campaigns. So I want to start out with a somewhat controversial artist out there that some of you love him, some of you out there hate him, some of you may have never heard of him. So EVH, as he is often called, Ethan Van. Help me, Dave. What's his last name?
It's actually EVS. It's Ethan Van Skyver.
EVS. I'm sorry, EVS. And he does a comic book called Cyberfrog. And he currently has a email list now up on Indiegogo. This is a sign up early, receive exclusive Chicken Fist with your pre-order. So you sign up for this email list that will tell you when the campaign basically is actually going to go live, and you get this this little chicken fist attachment and this actual bowl of chicken, which I assume is something relevant in the comic book. I honestly have not read the comic myself. I would like to in the future, but I just haven't got around to it. So these are the figures that they're going to be coming out. This is Heather Swain, and I won't even try to pronounce the the other character, which is the big bug character there, the bee character. They do look quite impressive.
It's the Vespis.
Yeah, there we go.
Vespis. They're the villains of the Cyberfrog.
Says these are fully articulated and they're to scale with the Marvel Legends, which, by the way, is not the Marvel Legends that I talk about. That's probably the Marvel Legends that most of you know and love, more in that 6-inch scale. It's a 6-inch for the most of the Marvel Legends. I believe that's what the scale is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So they're supposed to be compatible with those. These figures do look really good. I actually do like the actual frog figure. I think that's pretty cool. The Heather Swain character looks cool to me as well, but I do really like the frog figures look like. They're pretty cool to me. So just something that I wanted people to be aware of. And then I've got one more. This is another little indie pick because Dave and I have been wanting to showcase more independent stuff, and I'll really give it to him on Cyberfrog because this guy is fully independent and he is basically making stuff that's the same as Marvel Legends, essentially. You know what I mean? I give him all sorts of props for being able to do that because he is basically he's an independent. He's doing his own thing. This is also another independent comic book producer. This one's called Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter. Same kind of deal. They're just getting their email list together. But this one, here's some images. This is by Mandy Summers and Peter Gilmore. A lot of you may be familiar with Mandy from Toxic Femininity and Midnight's Edge. She does a lot of that kind of stuff. She has her own channel as well. And she does another book, I think it's called Wart the Wizard. I think that's the other one she does, which is also like an all ages book, by the way. So this one looks like it's going to be a lot darker than what she normally does with like the Wart the Wizard type stuff, but some pretty impressive artwork, I think. I've actually interacted with Peter Gilmore a little bit on Twitter, and he seems like one of those guys that is pretty easy to interact with. So definitely check him out and check out these independent comics and toys.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's interesting what Ethan's been doing actually with Cyberfrog. In addition to that, he actually, I think it was Wrecked Planet, which was the campaign before. There were options where if you pledged to the campaign, he actually had they didn't have articulation. They weren't like superposable or anything, but he actually made figures actually for Cyberfrog and then the Salamandroid that actually came with, I believe it was Wrecked Planet, which was the one before. And then one of the things I thought was really interesting he did too is he actually collected all of the older Cyberfrog material into like an omnibus collection.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting too. I've been really following what Ethan's been doing and contemplating what to try and do, hopefully here, in the future with, Red Skirts, and then, maybe taking another look, maybe at doing something actually with Bushy Tales at some point, because, Bushy Tales as it currently exists has never actually had a color printing of the actual story. And it was always intended to be colored. And Lynn Workman did an incredible job coloring that book. And I always thought it'd be nice for people to actually see the actual color version, to see all the incredible work that he put into it, because we printed it black and white. And I have an entire art of Bushy Tales book that was meant to go with it. So I've always contemplated that and thought that might be interesting to do at some point down the road. So I have been following what Ethan's been doing and the success he's been having with Cyberfrog, and it's interesting and it's inspiring.
Yeah, he does a lot of good work. There's no doubt about it. Whatever you think of his personality or anything like that, he's doing it. He's actually doing it. He's producing his own comic books and he's producing his own toys. And as Hollywood Jackson says, those were some good looking figures, no doubt. Hollywood Jackson, and this is an independent guy. I just think that's very, very impressive. It is very hard to produce your own toys. I've looked into it before, and it is very difficult and costly process to do that. So, all the power to him that he's actually doing it. He's actually doing it. Now, Dave, did you have any pop culture news that you wanted to share?
No, I didn't, because I knew we were probably going to run long on the trading card stuff, because normally we do 2 and I wanted to do 3, and I found a lot of interesting information, like I said, specifically with the Captain Marvel, the fact that some of those cards, it looks like you can't even get good images of them, and the possibility this first appearance has been lost to time. I wanted to get into that. I knew we were going to run long, so.
Gotcha. Well, I did have one streaming wars story. I did want to talk about that because I think it's relevant right now. I didn't put this in any of the description information, so maybe I'll make this like an independent clip on its own so that we can talk about it, because it is very topical. I did mention a little bit about this, before on the pre-show with Dave when we were discussing this, and I wanted to discuss the show we're not watching, which is Loki. So this is a Deadline article, okay? And this is from today. And it says, Loki first day viewership scores record for Disney Plus / Marvel series. And this is per Samba TV. We have made references to Samba TV in the past. So the article says, Samba TV reports that Loki's Wednesday premiere drew 890,000 U.S. households, which the third-party streaming stat.org said is, quote, the largest U.S. premiere day audience for any of the Marvel Disney shows. For comparison, they mentioned that Falcon and the Winter Soldier got 759,000 and WandaVision got 655,000. It says Loki's viewership also bests the 4-day premiere weekend of Cruella on Disney Plus, but that pick was available to subscribers for $29.99, which, by the way, I've mentioned many times. I hate that model. I will never support it. Whatever you think of Cruella, I just wouldn't get it just because you have to pay the extra money, and I hate that Disney's doing that. So the article goes on to say, clearly the growing number of households turning in on day one proves that the Marvel Disney Plus series are growing in momentum, says Samba TV. Now, I mentioned this a little bit to Dave in the pre-show. This was something we discussed. These numbers are basically CW numbers. And I am really shocked to realize what the actual numbers are. And we've been covering streaming wars and ratings and things like that for a while. Now, the Nielsen's, the way they do their ratings for streaming is different, because they go by hours, basically. So it's like how long so you could be, if you're watching the same show over and over and over again, they're counting that, okay? And that's the way they look at streaming, with their format. And also Nielsen's are usually like a month behind, basically. The Nielsen's are usually a month behind. We've got to wait. We won't see Loki for at least 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. Samba does things differently. And I've just started like doing some coverage of their process and getting some of these articles. We see these. I'm really shocked at these numbers. And Dave, I'm really I'm curious what you think, because these really are like CW numbers. CW generally, like their best shows are maybe like 1 million viewers. Some of their shows are as low as 500,000. I don't even know how you sustain a show. You know what I mean? With those kind of numbers, like, who wants to put their ads on that? Granted, there has been overall in television streaming, everybody's competing, right? So these are basically smaller pieces of that larger pie. That's one way of looking at it, I think. It's like there's smaller slabs, right? It's not like MASH. You know what I mean? We're not going to have that again. Like when MASH went off the air, where it was this event, and we're never going to have ratings like that ever again, right? So, this is different from, when we had the big 3 networks. I understand that. But I'm just comparing stuff that's contemporary. And these are like CW numbers. And it's amazing to me because we were talking off the air. Disney has over 100 million subscribers. 100 million. So they're not even getting, like 1% of that. It's shocking to me. What do you think, Dave?
Well, as we were talking about kind of backstage before we actually started the show, I'm a little surprised, not too terribly surprised. I was talking to Eric about how, at the end of the day, between Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision, I've pretty much determined, I think, that I liked WandaVision better than Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I was telling him too, it's like, for example, I have a subscription to Disney Plus, and I haven't watched the new Loki show. I talked about here actually on the Retrogs Live that I wasn't going to watch it. If we get about 3 or 4 episodes in and I hear, that it's worth checking out, I'll check it out. I have the subscription, but it was kind of impressed upon us at the beginning with the Disney Plus shows that they were going to be integral and important, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forward. And I honestly don't feel like, from what I've seen so far, there may be something I'm missing. I don't see where they are integral. And in all honesty, I just, I like Tom Hiddleston's Loki, but I just Loki show doesn't immediately appeal to me. I know that may sound weird, but it just doesn't. Actually, Falcon and Winter Soldier is probably more of my cup of tea. I loved Winter Soldier. It's one of my favorites. I just feel like that with this show, even though they say there's going to be all this interconnectivity to all this stuff, I feel like that with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, they've showed us kind of what they're going to do with the Disney Plus shows. And it's just, Falcon and Winter Soldier is a perfect example about how infuriating it was for me, because it's like, you've got these UN high important people that have been kidnapped, and, probably several blocks one direction, you've got Spider-Man, and several blocks the other direction, you've got Doctor Strange, and Falcon has to call someone for help. Who does he call? Basically someone who's selling artwork on the black market, who may or may not be connected to some kind of weird drug running in Asia, who he thought was dead. That's who you call for help. So I still can't get over that. I can't. And because of that, I'm prepared to sit Loki out. So even though last night I actually was watching something on Disney Plus that was Marvel related, but I was watching Spider-Man Unlimited, the cartoon.
There you go.
So,
yeah, I just think these numbers are really low, and I'll compare it to something that was just a few years ago, Game of Thrones, which was considered a phenomenon, right? They were getting numbers almost like at 20 million. Okay. Now, granted, that's like huge numbers, especially in today's market, right? And streaming really wasn't as much of a thing back then. The streaming wars really hadn't officially started. There was HBO Go, right? I mean, there was streaming. There's no doubt about it. It already had started, but it's not really considered like, the midst of the streaming wars. Disney Plus wasn't out, for instance. But Netflix certainly was. And they were getting numbers like that, And to me, that, of course, is a phenomenon. That is a huge hit show. These numbers are not. And I also want to show something else that I think goes along these lines of what are we really talking about here? And is this really like as great as they're saying that this is the greatest ever? This is a Loki action figure, okay, from the Loki show. And for those of you that are listening to us, it is, I wouldn't even say it's Loki. It's the actor in a suit. How the hell is this Loki? And this is the kind of garbage that they're peddling right now. And people, I guess, are buying it. I don't understand it. This is a collector's corner show. So I did want to address this. I mean, these toys to me are just like pathetic. They'll probably sell, I guess, because it seems like everything in Marvel Legends sells. But I don't know, man. I'm sitting there scratching my head. This is what you want? This is what people want? I don't want this.
Well, I think from a completist standpoint, I could understand wanting to have this if you have a version of Loki in his, Asgardian outfit, and then you might want to have this because it's, relates to the show. But it is kind of, I do find it a little odd, but that's, I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, the Superpowers line, they had the Clark Kent action figure, and I wanted the Clark Kent
different.
Action figure.
That's totally different. That's totally different, Dave. I'm sorry, but that's completely different. That's completely different than what this is. This is not Loki. This is just the actor in a suit. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to change my position there. I just don't understand it. I do understand that Marvel Legends is super popular, and I do understand the completionist argument because I get that. I totally get that. I know there are collectors like that. I'm not like that. I've never been like that, but I know people who are, that they're obsessed with this stuff and they have to have every figure. And that's why they sell. right? But at some point, you got to ask yourself as a collector. I mean, this is what you want, really? I mean, I feel like they're really taking their fans and their audience for granted with crap like this. I really do, because I feel like who the hell wants this except that completionist guy who doesn't care how terrible the figures are. He just has to have every single one. You know, it's like that fan that the second you put Star Wars on it, the second you put Marvel on it, they got to have it, no matter how stupid it is, no matter how bad it is, just because the logo's on it, they got to have it. And I'm telling you, if you're that kind of fan, it's very easy for the studios not to appreciate you, and they give you stuff like this. That's what happens. I think that's what happens to your collecting, is because you're willing to take anything they slab that label on, they're going to give you crap like this.
Well, and yeah, it is kind of weird. It makes me feel not as bad about myself, because Funko Pops had released some Fantastic Four Funko Pops, and I've been debating on getting Herbie the Robot. Now I don't feel so bad about that after seeing this. I thought that was kind of bad. This is definitely questionable. So
this is definitely questionable. Hollywood Jackson says it looks like Inspector Gadget, and he says, "Go Gadget Copter." I agree with you, Hollywood. To me, this isn't Loki. I mean, obviously, he's going to look like this, I guess, in the show. He wears a suit or something. Who cares? I mean, who cares? You know, it's like, do I want a Tony Stark? Basically, do I want a Rodney Downey Jr. action figure? Do I want Tony Stark in a suit? No. In fact, I'm one of those guys that says, keep the damn helmet on, because I want to see Iron Man. And why can't you act with a mask on? I say this all the time, because I'm that classic Star Wars guy who knows about David Prowse, who thinks he's awesome, who knows about Peter, who played Chewbacca. You know what I mean? I know about these people, and I appreciate them, and I think that there's a talent to that when you have to perform completely covered. If you know anything about theater, that's how it started. The Greeks all wore masks, and now every single actors, they've got to show their face, and even if they're playing a character that's supposed to be masked, it gets ridiculous. It really does. And again, I feel like these studios, and in this case, like the toy companies, they don't appreciate their fans. They're just going to give you this kind of garbage, and people are still going to get it because they have to have them all.
Well, and I was going to highlight this comment though, because I thought it was interesting. James is talking about, boy, do I know about the cost of making toys. And James is going to mention, I have seen some of the toys and different things that you've actually produced. It's been interesting seeing some of the stuff that you've worked on. It might be kind of cool, actually, at some point to actually talk with you actually about that on the show. I don't know, Eric is aware of that, but
I think that'd be great.
Be something. Yeah,
that would be great, James. I think that would be awesome if you could come on the show sometime and talk about your experiences in the industry. I would love that. That would be awesome.
And then I could talk about the toys I've designed that never got made on the flip side of that. So
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Anyway, as Hollywood Jackson says, the hype machine is broken. In a lot of ways, I feel like it is. Again, going back, I really feel like those numbers are not that good. When you look at the subscriber base that Disney Plus has, over 100 million, the fact that they can't even get 1% of their subscribers to watch something. Now, I don't know. Maybe that's the way Netflix is too. And for those of you, I mean, I've been trying to look into these numbers. You let me know what you've heard. Maybe that's just the way it is, right? But again, those are CW numbers. Those are CW numbers. And CW is like barely considered a network. I'm just being real here, So yeah,
it would be I'm a little surprised at it, and then like I said, also kind of not surprised. I was watching some YouTube videos with some people talking about theories about what they think is going to happen in the Loki show, and that stuff just absolutely drives me crazy, because it's like, have we not learned anything from WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier now to basically temper our expectations?
You know what we should do, Dave? Not watching the show, we should just start making stuff up. Like we don't even watch it, and we just start saying like, "Oh, well, I heard that they're going to do this and that," and
well,
and we never even watch the show. We just come up with all these crazy rumors and basically just fake crap that we make up, and we just that's what we should.
Well, there was a weird joke going around today. I have a friend who needed to actually watch it was actually a documentary about Steve Jobs, because he's going through some classes to get a computer science degree. And so they want him to watch like this documentary about Steve Jobs. And he's like, I just want to go home and watch the new Loki show. And I told him, I said, well, just watch the new Loki show and just write your review of that and just substitute the name Loki for Steve Jobs. Turn that in. And then I started thinking about, on my show, I should find a small review of a Steve Jobs movie and just substitute Steve Jobs as Loki's name and read that on the show.
There you go. I like it. I like it a lot. James, by the way, did follow up and he says, nice. Look forward to it. Yeah, James, I definitely think that would be a fun show to talk about your experiences in the toy industry. That'd be awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. And then I can talk about my almost was, but didn't happen experiences. So, all right. Cool. Yeah. Sad. All right. Do you have anything else?
But now, speaking of future shows, we did put it out there. If you guys have any suggestions for Sunday, we did have one suggestion that was we should do something Ray Harryhausen. I don't know what's available out there as far as what I have access to. I think that's a good suggestion. We had also Dave and I amongst ourselves, we thought of maybe checking out the Captain Marvel serial because that is available on Tubi. We thought that might be kind of fun. But if you guys have any suggestions for our show on Sunday, we didn't have like a clear thought about which way we wanted to go. So if you do have any suggestions, please let us know. Dave, do you know if there are any Ray Harryhausen films that might be available on on a streaming platform that we both have?
Well, I know there's a documentary about Ray Harryhausen that's actually on, for example, like on Amazon Prime. And then also too on I can't remember if you have Amazon Prime or not still.
I do not. I do not have Amazon Prime.
Clash of the Titans from 1981 is on Amazon Prime. I was just looking up, trying to see.
Is that the only thing Clash of the Titans is on?
It looks like it might be. Because you got to be careful to make sure you get the original 81, because the original 81 movie actually has, Ray Harryhausen did all the stop motion for that. Yeah, I think it might only be on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
let me try.
Clash of the Titans is not available on anything as far as like the streaming type stuff. It's available for download, but it's not available on, it looks like, any of the actual like just streaming platforms. So I don't know. What are you thinking, Dave? What should we wait a little bit? We can always just talk after the show and maybe try to come up with something, and we can always try to announce it through social media or something like that. Or do you want to try to commit to something now?
It's
a Sunday brunch with the Retro Rogues. I like that.
We might have to announce that on social. I mean, I'd be totally down to do the old Captain Marvel movie serials on Tubi, but like we said, we'd have to break it up into 2 episodes because it's too much to do in one, because it's a 12-parter.
And I told Dave the only concern that I have is I've never actually seen them, and I would hate to, because it's over 200 minutes, the entire thing, and I would hate to commit to something like that and then all of a sudden realize I don't really like this. So you know what I mean?
I told you,
that's my biggest concern. But you do like it, right? So we would
I own it.
If nothing else, we would have 2 different perspectives. So
and
maybe we're just going to do that. Maybe what we'll do is we'll commit to maybe like the first like 2 or 3 episodes, something like that, because I think they're like 20 minutes a piece, or is it 10 minutes a piece? Do you know?
I
Each
don't
chapter?
remember, but yeah, we could just do the first 3 chapters, and then you could see how you feel about it. You know what I mean? Like, we could talk about it on the show, and you could see how you feel about it. I mean, I'm telling you right now, the Adventures of Captain Marvel is considered, one of the, one of, if not possibly the greatest movie serial ever produced. And that's just not me. That's also Leonard Maltin talking. I mean, it's really, really great. And the flying sequences in it are really, really good. It's so
that's what I've always
seamless
heard
at
about,
times.
and I've seen documentaries about that. So
yeah.
So we're gonna do that. We'll go ahead and we'll do that. We're gonna do basically like probably the first 3 chapters of the Captain Marvel serial. So that's what we're gonna be doing on Sunday, for any of you folks wondering. So.
And if you want to follow along with this, as Eric said, it is on Tubi. So you can go over there and check it out. That's where we're going to watch it. All right. Very cool.
And I do wish we could do Clash of the Titans, but unfortunately, I just don't have access to it. I think that would be a great review, but I don't have access. I don't have a copy of it, and none of the streaming services that I have currently show it. So I do apologize about that, because I do think that would be a great review. To review Clash of the Titans. I haven't seen it in a very long time, since I was a kid. So it would be like a true, retrospective, because I would be like almost cold, because it's been a long time since I've seen that.
Well, and I was also thinking too, what I could do is I'll try and do some additional research and see what Ray Harryhausen productions there are that are available on streaming. It's just trying to do it right now while we're doing the live show is kind of tricky. But I'll see if there's some other stuff I can find out. I mean, I'd like to think that, like, 7 Voyages of Sinbad or Jason the Argonauts or something's available somewhere, I would think. So let me just see if I can figure out where they are and what may or may not be available. So
there you go.
All right. Very cool. All right. So if that's good, let's just go ahead and wrap this one up for this evening.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Very cool. All right. So I thank you for watching, or hopefully listening to this episode of the Retro Rogues Live. Again, my name is Dave B. I've been one of your hosts. If you're curious to see the fun things you're not going to be able to see the thing I'm currently about to be working on, but if you want to check out some of the great t-shirt designs and see what's happening over at KirbyTees.com, definitely go there, check that out. We've got some really great designs. There's Brains Are Magic by Sarah Aerosmith. We also have the collaboration between myself and the Janimal, the Skeletor t-shirt. I think it's a really great, fun t-shirt. You can check that out, as well as Retro Rogues Live t-shirts are available there as well. Maybe consider purchasing a Retro Rogues Live t-shirt and supporting what we're doing here at the show. We would greatly appreciate your support. All that and so much more available over at KirbyTees.com. That's KIRBYTS.com. I want to thank Eric Alexander, my great co-host, for providing, as always, his unique perspective and point of view to all these fun pop culture things and collectibles, and bringing the action figure love on that side of the discussion. That's always kind of fun and exciting. Eric, please tell the folks who'll be watching or listening at home where they can learn more about you on the interwebs.
I'm most active on Twitter. So my Twitter is at BaseGod14. That's at BASSGOD14. That's also the official Twitch. That's also the official YouTube. So if you comment on those particular forums, more likely than not, the response that you're going to get is from me. So definitely do comment. We do encourage comments, even if they're negative. We encourage comments. If you disagree with something that we're saying, we have no problem with you calling us out, and we'll definitely try to address whatever it is that your concern is. Also, we're always looking for suggestions, like we were tonight. Let us know if you want us to review a particular show, or if you want us to review a particular movie. That's generally going to be on Sunday. That's when we do those reviews, the Rogues retrospective, and then obviously on Thursdays it's the Collector's Corner focus. So if you have some news about some action figures or some insight, into some comics or some trading cards or any of that kind of stuff, let us know. We definitely want to hear about that so that we can feature that stuff on our own program. Hollywood Jackson, you are too kind. He says, great show, guys. David Motz also says, nice show tonight. Thanks, guys. And with that, we will leave David Motz with the last